What's up, fam bam? What's up, guys? Hopefully, your weekend was really good over the Independence Day. If you guys celebrate it, hopefully, those in Europe are having a great weekend so far. Luckily, it seems like the weather really hasn't actually been as bad as I thought it was going to be, especially for this tropical depression that was supposed to come in. Seems like more we got showers than anything. But anyhow, what is everybody's thoughts going on with Nvidia's, especially with the RTX 5050? It seems that there are some reviews that have been released about that. And of course, if you have any questions about PC building or any upgrades that you are looking forward to do, feel free to bring it up into the chat as I do speak to the chat if you have any type of those questions. Anyway, the RTX 5070, the RTX 5080 Super is certainly going to be on their way. It seems that Sapphire has done something very interesting, in fact. Unfortunately, we won't be able to see it all across different countries or anything like that yet because it seems like it's exclusive to China currently, which is going to be Sapphire's motherboards. They actually premiered not too long ago, and they look relatively nice. I wouldn't be surprised if they start branching out, which they really should. And there are some motherboards that are going to be coming out from MSI. They are looking forward to making some improvements themselves as they are doing some sort of refresh for the B850 and the X870s, calling it the B850 or the B870E Maxes. Ironically, they have one that's going to be a MATX board, if that is what you're looking for, and it's going to be fall under the category X870E, weirdly enough. But there is also going to be more refreshes, I believe, that will be coming out. I'm not sure if they're going to call it just like a refresh or they're going to rename the chipset, especially if they do continue going with AMD's Ryzen 10,000 series, if that's what they will call it. More than likely, we might see even a name change with AMD when it comes up for this upcoming generation of processors and GPUs. But we all are looking forward to one thing, and a possibility of a high-end AMD RX 9080 or RX 9090. If it just has the VRAM to really compete with NVIDIA, I think they would really do well. And I do have to say, it's been very interesting in the whole tech side, especially that Windows 11 has overtaken Windows 10. But I think that was more forced than anything. Similar how it was like forced upgrade when it was from Windows 10 to Windows 7, I should say, to Windows 10. And for Windows 11, it seems like it's nearly on practically every PC that you can get. But I'm curious to see if they will have a customized version for gaming, especially that Microsoft is talking about having their own customized UI, especially for the ASUS ROG Xbox Ally and the Xbox Ally X. And when that does release, it's going to be more controller friendly, so you can it's going to be probably more like a Steam UI interface, a mixture probably with the Xbox interface, but it will be Windows compatible. So if you don't really use your PC for other tasks besides gaming, that would be great, and there would be less background processes in for something like this, and which would be an excellent benefit for anybody that uses their PC strictly for gaming. What's up, LSG? Good to see you. Hopefully they do. I personally hope that they do. I think they will. It's just, especially because the AMD sales speak for themselves. They still sell really well when it comes to the RX 9070 to the RX 9070 Plus. Not 97 Plus, but RX 9070 XT. I mean, if they have been selling great, the 9060 series has also been selling well. The only ones that haven't really been selling is now this is going across all the board and not just on the AMD side, is the 8GB VRAM cards. Apparently they're not selling as good as expected, and Nvidia's not even selling theirs. So that's a good indication that people are a bit fatigued from having just 8 gigabytes of VRAM. So this is going to be a good topic and a good indication for these companies to realize that 8 gigabytes is no longer the minimum. People want to have at more than likely at least 12 gigabytes of VRAM. But I can see them coming out with one. It would be nice. I wonder if it would be more G6 or G7 when they decide to come out with the extra VRAM in the card. More than likely, I do expect it to probably be, it could be even be G6X, but from what I know, that's exclusive to NVIDIA. If it's not, then more than likely it could go G7. In other interesting news as well, with Snapdragon, they have decided to drop Samsung as their foundry. Instead, that they're going to go with a whole nother foundry, because I guess they really want to implement their APUs into PCs, into portable PCs or their AI laptops, and really try to compete against the likes of the like Apple's M3 or M4, and with NVIDIA soon to be coming out with their own SoC, which is going to be quite the competitor. And Snapdragon, I'm sure, wants to stick around and be tight with the competition when it comes down to it, because as you know, that whole sector, when it comes to the SoCs for these laptops, they're not as prevalent, especially when it comes to Snapdragon. They're not as popular. And even with the Gen 2, it hasn't improved as much as they thought they have. So now they're going to go to a whole nother route and try to, more than likely, I believe, work with TSMC, as they are the world leaders when it comes to process nodes and semiconductors. I really want to upgrade my 7900 XT, but don't want to pull the trigger on the 9070 XT for them to release the 9080 or the 9090 Q1. I get that, because especially when you know a release date is coming right around the window, it's going to be, it's always hard to predict, especially because when it comes to marketing, they always try to have like some sort of official release. The best thing to do is always look for some sort of trademarks that it is going to come out. I have to take a deeper dive and take a look into it and see if I can find anything, because usually they'll file some sort of FTC patents or something that will indicate them having being able to release this card, or will be able to release this card at the end of the quarter. Not this quarter, but or more like beginning of quarter, I should say, 2026, which I could see them possibly going to that direction. And maybe even the holidays, depending on how fast they want to push it out. If they're trying to compete with NVIDIA, maybe for once they'll try to jump the gun over NVIDIA, because as we all know, NVIDIA is coming out with the RTX 5070s and 5080 Supers, and when they do, they're more than likely going to release between January or February, and more than likely AMD, if they are strategic about it, may try to release it before then. If they do, then that can give them a bit more market share on that side, because there's going to be people out there, just like LSG, who wants to upgrade their AMD card, especially if it's a high-end card. Or if anybody out there that has an NVIDIA still stuck on, like, say, the NVIDIA 1000 series or even the 2000 series, you may want to upgrade. And if AMD does offer that luxury of a high-end card where it's not priced outrageously to the point of not like a $3,000 card, if it's still like within that whole $1,500 realm, more than likely I could see them take up some market share if that's the case. And if everybody's still afraid of the AMD drivers, there's really no need to be afraid of them anymore. I can speak on it, and that the drivers have been really excellent when it comes to AMD. And everyone that has an AMD card can certainly tell you the same, that their drivers have been great. There hasn't been any real issues when it's come to AMD's 9000 series. Or even their 7000 series. Any AMD driver, in fact, I really haven't heard much issues with. What's up, Alex? What's up, Sanja? Hey, what's up, Simply Takuma? I'm just seeing all you guys come in. So can you check when I DM'd you? Sure, I'll check it out. I am a beginner PC builder and I want to build my first PC with the motherboard manual day. A manual day, where can I plug it in? So you want to build your first PC with the motherboard manually? Oh, you mean, are you asking, so Sanjim, Sonics, are you trying to, what are you trying to do exactly? Just to be clear, because I see that you're trying to build your first PC. Will the motherboard manual be where I can plug it in? If you're asking how you would put it together, the first thing to do is to build on your motherboard. You have the right idea. Of course, if you need any further help, feel free to go into Discord and we can certainly help you there. Usually I have videos up for any PC builds, so usually it's a good idea to build on the motherboard first and then put it into the case. Try to put everything you can on it except the GPU, because that would be a real pain if you did that. But try to put everything on the motherboard first before installing it into your PC case. But after then, pretty much everything will go together. The way it plugs in, if you're trying to ask that, the power supply will have connectors on there, so it's going to be pretty hard to miss. That part's kind of like the Lego part that everybody talks about, because the way the connectors connect from the power supply, they're going to be very specific. They're not just going to simply just plug into any power outlet when it comes to your motherboard or any connector. So once you do that, usually it'll be like a 24 pin connector that connects into the ATX board, and then everything else will kind of line up when it comes component wise and coolers, but it's a lot easier to explain if I have the components and put it together for you. So there's a part on my cousin's PC. I don't know where it is. Okay. So let me see. I sent some photos. If I get the 9070 XT for MSRP on Prime Day, I'm going to pull the trigger. But if not, I'm going to wait and see what happens. I completely get that. Does it show where I can plug? Yes. Well, the 24 pin connection is usually right next to the RAM. So you're going to see like a large connector. It's going to be the biggest connector on the actual board. And usually it'll be right there. Most of the time, it's going to be right on that side. And does it show where I can, and HD audio? So when it comes to HD audio, that will be also specific. That's also going to be typically on the bottom left of the motherboard. It's going to be very small, but that's where your HD audio will be. Yes, absolutely. Don't forget the slot cover on the motherboard. So let's take a look at what Alex has brought up here. And let me see. It's under PC hardware. What's going on, Wasabi? Good to see you. So I'm taking a look. Alex, oh, accidentally went over here. I'm taking a look, Alex. I'm trying to see where you sent it. General. So Alex, where was it sent? I'm checking through Discord, and I don't see it. Oh, you sent it. Okay, it looks like you sent a direct message. Okay, so I'm going to share this with you guys, and let's see. We'll put the discovery together. Yes, exactly. That's all we need now. All right, so the screen's going to black out for just a second because we're just going to see what Alex is talking about here. And right here, so you see, you're trying to figure out what that is. That looks like a bracket. Yeah. From what that circle is right here, it looks like that there's a bracket. That's all that is. That's to support the graphics card. Usually, some graphics cards will come with it, especially MSI, but that's all that is. That's But of course, there's different variations of it. They do have this style bracket. Typically, AMD will come with them. Yes. So that's all that is. And it's you'll see that a lot more common. And again, there's so many different variations with it. You have ones where they go under the GPU to help support it so it doesn't sag. That's what it's essentially trying to do, prevent sag more than anything. It's not going to be stable enough to the point where you can, like, say, if it goes through some sort of turbulence, like if you put it into a car, the PC, it's not going to, it's not recommended to still stand it up. And either way, it's more recommended that you take out the GPU regardless. Just to say, if you do plan to travel with a PC, but again, that's just to prevent any type of sag when it comes to the GPU, so that way it doesn't, gravity doesn't do its thing to where it could possibly damage the card, where it can lean. But usually the screws are pretty much pretty good enough. I'm sure over time we'll probably see some sort of different variation of it where they'll have like a thicker screw or a better mount at least in the near future, because I don't see them constantly using brackets as like the true solution unless it's built in with the case more. But so let's see, just got another message here. Okay, that was something else. Apologize for that, guys. But yeah, so for the PC building aspect, I'm definitely excited for Amazon Prime Day. I did put together 2 different builds, for example, on Amazon Prime Day, which will be released tomorrow. There will be a video based on it. And there are some exciting discounts, I can say, for Prime Day, so make sure you check it out. If you guys are students out there and are interested in getting Prime, you should definitely give it a shot, because they're actually giving Prime Day for, not Prime Day, but Prime memberships for 6 months free if you are a student out there. So you can completely have, take advantage of Prime Day and then some. You could even take advantage of Black Friday once that day comes, and then you could just leave out of Prime if you wanted to, before the whole 6-month trial period is over. But for anybody that is a student, you can get it for free for 6 months, just to give you a heads up. And that's going to be tomorrow. I will have the link on the video tomorrow as well once that gets released, which will certainly be exciting. So I did a heavy set of deadlifts on Wednesday. I did, oh nice, 275 pounds. That's impressive. How long have you been lifting for, Wasabi? That GPU's. So, looking forward to Prime Day. I need a 4 TB SSD. It's funny. There's actually a video that will be coming out sometime soon. If anybody was there for the last live stream, I think it was last live stream or the one before, where Western Digital luckily gave us a SSD to test out, which was a Western Digital Blue. It's gonna be a very interesting video that will be coming out in probably in a couple weeks or so. But in this upcoming video, I can say that we're going to compare it to something like PCI Express Gen 5 versus a Gen 4 SSD. Now the one that's in question, it's a 4 TB SSD, but it's Gen 4 versus a 2 TB SSD, which is Gen 5. Typically, when you have less terabytes when it comes to an SSD, they're a bit quicker because it doesn't require for it to go, it doesn't have to require a lot of real usage out the SSD compared to, it reads like almost like, think of it like this, it runs like almost 2 times faster because it's less capacity. But the life of a larger capacity SSD can certainly last a lot longer compared to one that has a shorter SSD capacity. So it's kind of a weird dynamic, but they do have its pros and cons when it comes to it. But this test, it's going to be for anybody who likes to game and wants to see if there's really a true successor to PCI Express 4 to PCI Express 5 when it comes to gaming, at least. So, yes. I remember I was sharing that, but I will officially have a video based out on it. So hoping for a big discount on the 9800 X3D certainly would be nice. I can say that there certainly will be some great discounts out there that anybody can take advantage of, and I can say a hint is like definitely check out NZXT. So is the Ryzen 5 3600 and the RX 6600 on the RTX 2060 still worth it in 25 to 26? That's my specs. I want to use it for my first PC build. It's about 350. I gotta say in 25 and 26, that's gonna be, yeah, it's still great. You still can build it together. In fact, it's still going to be compatible, but don't expect again to push like really high numbers out of it. But yeah, certainly if it's only $350, then you can certainly get away with it. The minimum requirement for a lot of games are still like a RX 580. So you should be more than likely okay to go. So my personal best has been 429 pounds. Impressive. But my goal is still 440. Yeah, just keep pushing for it. Yeah, you got it. It's all about persistence and training when it comes to doing like deadlifts. And that's where, and currently I push between, like when it comes to deadlifts, I do usually between 450 to 490. And very rarely I could get to 500, but it just depends on how my day is. As you know, how it's like when you're lifting. Some days you can feel like a beast, and some days you just think you feel like a beast, but you're not a beast. So, simply Takuma says, I have an itchy hand to check for an 8 terabyte version of the Samsung 9100 NVMe M.2 card, but at the moment they've only released 4 terabytes. Yes, unfortunately they only have up to 4 terabytes, and as we all know, Samsung can be pretty priced pretty high when it comes to their SSD. Western Digital does have their version. I think theirs only goes up to 4 terabyte too, where it is where it's the 91, not 9100. What do they call it? The 910 is it for Western Digital? AM5 mid. What's up, Kami? AM5 mid. You'll have less cost in terms as upgrading, as you'll have a new motherboard as well. Would you go AM5 mid for mid-range builds because you can upgrade? Absolutely. So if you do have a bit more of a budget, I highly recommend to go AM5. There was actually a few builds that people sent me through Discord about if they want to proceed going AM4. And instead, what I did was I created a whole list and created an alternate as for AM5 because it's more future proof, and that you can always, it's much easier to upgrade your CPU and much easier to upgrade any other component on that board as compared to AM4. And you might ask, why is that? It's because if you do choose to go AM4, and eventually when that processor is up to the point where it's not really going to be able to keep up anymore, you won't be able to push your motherboard any further, especially if you already maxed out your CPU. Meaning, like, the maximum CPU you can get is like a 5950X 3D or 5950X. But if you do choose to go that route, it's again, the upgrades are going to be very limited. Now DDR4 has become legacy hardware, so it's going to eventually become more expensive, as it was already announced by Samsung. And they've said that their chipsets for DDR4 are going to be about 50% more expensive if when they create more DDR4, because it's going to be less of a demand as most people are going to DDR5 now, or has DDR5. So would switching to a 9800 X3D get me better eSport performance? I have a 9600X with a 9060 XT. Well, it can get you better performance, but I would recommend, okay, so if you're going to upgrade and you want more competitive performance, it's more likely better to upgrade your GPU just a little bit more, maybe to like a 9070. Or you can go 9800 X3D. Now, depending on what you're using it for, what type of refresh rate, what type of monitor are you using? Because that all does matter too. I can't update the chipset drivers. Which ones, Canelos? Which chipset drivers are you having trouble updating? Also, you'll be stuck with DDR4 RAM. Yeah. So if you're having issues with your chipset drivers, I'm assuming you have AMD, is it? Your AMD chipset drivers? You might have a corrupted Windows, I hate to say. Because usually when that happens, it means that your Windows is more than likely corrupted. So the best thing to do is do like a fresh install of Windows and then reinstall the chip drivers then. But if you don't want to do that, if you don't want to start with the fresh Windows, you can back it up if you want, but I don't suggest backing it up anyway, because again, more of the case, Windows is corrupted. Or two, your chipset drivers, what is your hardware? I have to ask. Depends on your hardware too, because sometimes the hardware could go bad. If it's older hardware, it could be that it could be a couple other issues. So let me know your hardware too, but more than likely it's going to be a corrupted Windows. This is not a chipset driver, the RX 6500 XT. Oh, you asked about the RX 6500 XT. Did I miss that? Oh, yeah, I did miss it. How can I fix the RX 6500 XT? So that's your question. Yeah, that's not going to be a chipset driver. That's going to be the actual driver to your GPU. That's going to be based on AMD. So yeah, your chipset driver is your motherboard. That's what it usually is. It's going to be based on your motherboard, or it's going to be based on your processor. So make sure to double check it. Yes, I think so, because I can't activate Windows. More than likely it's going to be a Windows issue, as predicted. So Alexander the Great, same for me. Okay, so you have a 1440p 240 hertz monitor. I play Rocket League. So what type of frames are you pushing now, may I ask, on 1440p? Now, 240 hertz is going to be quite the refresh rate. So it's definitely better to get like a 9070 XT. You will definitely be able to get better numbers out of it, instead of like going, because what you can do is you can get the 9070 XT and then sell your 9060 XT to cover like at least half of the cost of it, but you'll see much better results out the 9070 XT over the 9060. So I got it for $78. It was a deal with Amazon. Consistent 240 FPS on 1440p Rocket League. It's not demanding. Okay. So then more than likely you're probably good. Unless you're trying to compete in something else, then I would suggest to upgrade. Always focus on the GPU on the first most aspect, and then go into the processor side. I would say go at least 9070 XT if you're looking for a next upgrade. And then if you want to upgrade your PC once more, then go 9800X 3D. Then you can take full advantage of that. But that's what I would highly recommend. But yeah, so back to Canelo's. Just make sure to do a fresh install of Windows, and this time activate it, and you should get less issues, because that can give problems itself. Even though you might see that little activate Windows or whatever, sometimes it won't give you the proper updates and everything either. $80 for 165 hertz on 10. Yeah, that's not bad at all. $80 for a 165 hertz monitor, that is excellent. That's like, if you think about it, that's like almost like what, like 47 cents per refresh rate. I have two Samsung Odyssey G3 monitors, roughly 140 euros each. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, Samsung Odyssey, they always throw some really great deals when it comes to their monitors. So definitely check them out once Amazon Prime Day deals come up, because usually they have them. I can say there's much more I would like to say, but I know I can't really say yet until officially tomorrow. So I'm wondering if the 7800 X3D or the 9800 X3D would get more performance if I already have consistent 240 FPS. I don't know much. I'm sorry if I'm asking a dumb question. So either one can get you more performance compared to the 9600X, because they both have more cores in there, which will certainly benefit you. Because now, like, the minimum that anyone recommends, like, during gaming, especially now because of the new Unreal Engine 5 and with upcoming game engines, they recommend at least 8 cores. So you can take advantage of it in that sense. But for Rocket League, it's you're probably not going to see any real difference in there unless you're trying to go higher refresh rate even, or if you're trying to push into 4K eventually, just say. And if you do, then that's when you're going to want to look for a better GPU first, then over a CPU. So don't worry about the CPU yet. I mean, you can upgrade it if you'd like. It's completely up to you, but you won't really see much of a difference. It will certainly help get your PC to breathe better for sure. So, hi, it's my first time here. Hope you're having a good day. So far, it's been pretty good. I gotta say, the weather's been great. It really hasn't rained as bad as I thought, because we were supposed to have this like tropical depression. It must have just went over us. I haven't checked the radar or anything like that, but so far it's been great. Aim at the G5. G5 has QHD, and you are able to play at 1440p. And there's some OLEDs coming out too, I gotta say. OLEDs that are going to be up on Prime Day. If your monitor can't put out that 240 hertz, there's no reason to push past that. Yeah, that's absolutely the point. So like if it goes up to 240 hertz, there's not really any point unless you're trying to push higher resolution or you're planning to upgrade your monitor in some sort of way. 9800 X3D can bring more performance, but when the game limits hits, yeah, exactly. So okay, I got you. I'll get the 9070 XT next upgrade, or the 9090 XT would be a decent price. Not yes. If you do get the 9090 XT to play Rocket League, that would be insane. I gotta say first. Unless, again, you are looking to play other games and other titles, and you're going to play on another monitor as well, then you can take advantage of it. But even I'd say like the 9070 XT would probably certainly fit your needs more than anything. I'd do that first before jumping 9090, unless you are planning to play like something that is much more demanding. Or you're planning to hook up another monitor maybe, or something. Next time I'll have some money, I'll upgrade to some QHD OLED monitors, either Gigabyte or Samsung. Excellent choices. But yeah, again, OLED is definitely the way to go. If anybody has experienced OLED, it's hard to go back from it. After seeing the colors, it just brings new life into any of your games here, which is pretty insane. I remember just like switching over to OLED and seeing the difference. And this was on Pal World. And just playing from an IPS display and switching over to an OLED display, you immediately noticed how different the colors were immediately. And it's certainly a game changer, especially because of its low latency is something to take advantage of. So usually if I were to put on a list, like when it comes to displays, OLED is definitely number one. IPS is two. Then it would be VA displays. I put VA displays on the bottom because personally I'm not a big fan of the ghosting side of it. And most people are probably not going to be fans of that either. But OLED, it certainly has the best picture, color, and in quality. So I don't know if AMD will bring a high-end card on the market. There's nothing but hope for that side, especially because they sold so well. The it's a bad and good thing. The bad part is if it doesn't sell well, this 9080 or 9090, I don't think AMD is going to attempt the high end market ever again. And but if they do and it sells well, then we can expect more out of AMD, and it will certainly help the pricing when it comes to Nvidia, especially when it comes to their GPUs. So now I play also Doom, The Dark Ages, and also interested. Yeah, I figured that, Richie. Uh, if you are playing other titles, it will certainly be an advantage, especially if you're of a big fan of Doom. I still haven't completed that game, by the way. What's a good AIO for a 14900K? Good AIO you can get is I always recommend the NZXT Kraken. They're great AIOs. Them, and also I would recommend something like the even Corsair's AIOs are great. Their software isn't the greatest, but their AIOs are excellent. They're nice and quiet. So I can recommend those two like right off the top of my head right there. Noctua is supposed to come out with one, which I'm really interested in. I can't wait for them to release theirs, but I know a lot of people will more than likely swap out their fans. So the one with liquid nitrogen. I'm trying to change my case. I'm a huge fan of NZXT H9 Elite case. What do you think is a great choice? Oh, okay. So yeah, I mean it's an excellent case. I once again definitely look out for the NZXT stuff, especially on Prime Day deals. What is your current build and what games do you play? Right now, I am on my rig that I usually play on is a 9800 X3D on it, and 5090, and it has about 48 gigabytes of DDR5, about 6400 megahertz. But that's the current build that I play on. It has also the Gigabyte SSD in there, which is a Gen 5, and it's also a Gen 4 SSD, which is Western Digital's Blue. And recently I've been playing Elden Ring, which I'm having a lot of trouble right now fighting that draconian tree sentinel. I'm having issues fighting him right now, and I just got there over by that capital side. And right now I'm also playing what is it? There's two other games I'm playing. I'm playing Claire's Obscure Expedition 33, and another game I'm also playing right now is Stellar Blade. Doom was also I was playing as well, but I've ended up backlogging so much because I keep hopping on other games. And I've been playing Elden Ring a lot recently because my friend got me to go on it, and now I'm stuck playing it with him practically. But it's a lot of fun and everything. Just it's again just like every other Souls-like game. So let's see, because AMD's losing money on this part, they always bring good mid-range cards. I don't think AMD has interest. Yeah, you know what's funny? I remember they mentioned that before. Just like what Simply Takuma said, that they've mentioned this before to where during the whole, after the 7900 XTX, after releasing it, they said that they were practically done after making high-end cards. Because I think it had to do more with that they expected more people to purchase it, but they just weren't there. But now they're pleasantly surprised about this whole mid-range side, about people purchasing the 9070 XT. So it's possible that they might say, we're doing great on mid-range, there's no need to go any more than that. There's a great demand for it. So hopefully, but we all can hope that maybe they will surprise us with a high-end card. Maybe they'll go all out. If they do decide to do it, they have to go all out when it comes to it, because they got to really compete against the likes of NVIDIA. So the NZXT Kraken V1 or V2, I'd just go V1. V1's fine. Again, it's only very little differences when it becomes when they update the variant when it comes to AIOs. It might be like a little bit more silent or something like that, but just go to V1 if that's what you can currently afford. What's a good AIO for the R9 9950 X3D? actually the same cooler, believe it or not. The Kraken 360 is a great cooler. That again, Corsair's coolers are great. And what else? There's another cooler on my mind. I know I currently have the ASUS Ryujin 3 on mine, which is the 9800 X3D. It's a great cooler, but it's a little bit more noisy than some might like. I would, again, that's why I highly recommend trying NZXT or Corsair's AIOs. They're both excellent. Just the software is not as good for Corsair because of iCUE. They certainly need to improve on that product. So, yes, that's who I'm fighting. The Draconian Sentinel at the entrance of Landell. That's exactly who I'm fighting. Finally got an RTX 5080. 1 hour later, placed that. That's funny. It's always like that. You'll end up like reverting back to your old favorites. Like I want to just go back onto. I want to play Fallout New Vegas, and be able to go back and complete my game because that was one game I never really finished. I already put like a lot of hours in it, and I just want to beat out New Vegas, but. But again, doing that on a 5090, especially that they took away like PhysX and DirectX 9, but they do have advanced PhysX now. I did hop on it to see if it would actually open up and be able to play. It let me play for a little bit, but I didn't try to play on the long term to see if it would like shut off or something. So I think the V1 Contact, yes. So perfect. Maybe AMD brings the killer card RX 9080 XT with 20 gigabytes. That would be a very good card, but you never know. Yeah, exactly. We don't know, but let's hope that they do. I didn't know $800 GPUs were considered. It's fun. You know, the funny thing is, it's almost like the mid-range cards are $1,000. And if anybody's out there has been around long enough to build PCs, high-end GPU. Like I'd say, what is it, 2025 now, right? So about 20 years ago. I know that's sounds like a real long time ago, but not even 20 years ago. How about I'd say even 10 years ago? That 10 years ago, I can say that if you spent $600 to $700 on a GPU, that would be a premium GPU. That would be like practically like getting a 5090 for $700. So that was the creme of the crop at that time. But now it's like triple that price. Like now to get a premium GPU, especially if you're looking to get something like an RTX 5090, you're going to spend at least like $2,600 or $2,700 if you could get your hands on it. And the crazy part is a lot of these mid-range and high-end GPUs, they're selling out quick. The only ones that are falling behind right now are these 8 gigabyte GPUs because nobody really wants that anymore. So, $800. Yes. Welcome to the new world of PC building. Yeah, everything is just priced really expensive when it comes to that side, especially on the GPU side. Again, like you could really purchase a GPU that's worth a PC build. Like we did this whole AMD build with a 9600X and the 9070 XT. And we threw in DDR5, CL36 it was in there, SSD, all this stuff, right? For about, relatively I would say like $1,800 to $1,900 for this build. So it's kind of like, almost like a mid-high build, you can say. And this is still under the price of a RTX 5090, where you're going to spend $26 just on the card itself. So that's just how insane the pricing is, like when it comes to the world of PCs. And NVIDIA Titan XP cost $1,200 in 2017. Yeah, isn't that insane? Because I remember doing a build even then, and how I spent like, I can't even remember, like I think like $1,300. $1,300 or $1,400 on a pretty decent build. I saw NVIDIA has issued a statement where they said that they are going to stop supporting old GPUs with their driver updates. Oh, really? They really said that? That's really interesting. Talk about like really pushing people into buying new products now. Yes, the driver version begins with the 580XX, the marketing of the EBD of Pascal. An era is coming to an end. Yes, it certainly is. I think the ASUS ROG Crosshair X870E Hero mainboard, AMD X870E socket AM5 DDR5 is a good motherboard, but I don't know if there's some issues with it. That's a great question, Bob. You bring up a very valid question, and actually that's a motherboard I actually got right behind me is the ASUS ROG X870E motherboard. Just to forewarn everybody, just to be clear, so nobody is out the loop. Usually I'll work with somebody like ASUS. They actually sent this board, and so far I can say for the most part haven't ran into any issues. The last time I only really ran into issues when it came to ASUS motherboards was a while ago, and that was the Z690 board I had problems with, to where they ended up using ended up putting the, what was it? Not capacitor. It was another piece that they had backwards in there, and because of that ended up shorting the board actually. But so far I can say for the ASUS X870E Crosshair Hero, it's been an excellent board. Have no issues with all X870E boards. This is not only exclusive to ASUS, is that if you end up taking up a certain slot or a certain slot when it comes to NVMe, then it can split the power to your PCI Express 5 bus. So if you have that problem, then more than likely you're either in 2_2 or 2_3. You can't use those two, because if you do, then it will split the bus power for the for your GPU, where it'll turn into X8 instead of X16. You can also change it in the BIOS as well, but that's not really an issue. That's more of a feature that they do have when it comes to the X870E boards. Now every motherboard's different, and some of them will be like M.2_3 will be the one that you can't use, but just make sure to double check it. But I know for the Hero, that's for the M.2_2 and _3 you cannot really use. So you're paying too much, Bob. So Wasabi no Gemu says 1080 Ti owners, salute to you. That is some, but I gotta tell you, they were some long-lasting GPUs. They are some excellent GPUs to have. I know they're really trying to stop it, because that was like their last great series. You're paying too much, Bob. Yeah, and it all depends what you're using it for too. Just let me know what you're using it for, out of curiosity. ASUS makes great motherboards, just hate how much they push Armory Crate on you. Yeah, that's why I had to come out with that video for anybody out there that does get ASUS products. Make sure to, if you don't want Armory Crate, the first thing you can do before you install your OS on it, just go into the BIOS and disable Armory Crate, because what it'll do is it will pull Armory Crate from the internet to kind of download. But you just have to click no if you do end up installing an OS. But usually if you disable it from the BIOS level, then that will prevent everything else afterwards. So that's too much in my opinion, but if you can afford it, go for it. With ASUS Mobos, it's Russian roulette, and you might never know. Yeah, so when it comes to motherboards, it's always like, it's always questionable depending on which manufacturer you can get it from. But I can say for the most part with ASUS, I haven't really had any issues with them. The only, again, real issues I had with ASUS motherboards was back with the Z690s, and it was like I just put together this build, the Alder Lake build, and then all of a sudden it just didn't turn on the next day, and it turns out that it was a MOSFET, not the MOSFET, it was a capacitor. I think it was backwards, and that I had to send it in, and they ended up replacing the board. And at first they tried to charge me for it. After then they realized their issue, and then they ended up giving me my money back, because at first they charged me $130, and I know that that wasn't the issue with the board. But then, yeah, they ended up giving my money back for that side. But that was probably the last real issue when it came to across any of the ASUS motherboards. But other than that, with their current generation and anything with the AMD side, I haven't really seen issues when it came to ASUS. So, yeah, no problem. No problem, Bob. So I had ASUS, was all good until they gave me issues with the drivers and AMD CPU shorting. Oh, really? Yeah, the AMD CPU short. Luckily, it didn't short my CPU, but then they said bring a new BIOS. They are saying beta. Oh, I think I remember this. This happened, what was it? A couple years ago, right? Like when they had that issue. Was it with AMD? Because I remember that, like they said, they were telling, this was on the X6, not the X670Es, right? With their motherboards, with and I remember they were telling people to download the beta, just so that way they can try to have a way out if they said, oh, your CPU shorted because it was on beta. You can't blame us for it. It was your own decision. Then they were like forced to come out like 2 days later with another BIOS update, I remember. But I think, yeah, I remember that. That's pretty crazy. I didn't know you got affected by that. But I almost completely forgot all about that issue. So still completely get rid of it from my PC after even using Revo install. I actually just came out with a video, LSG. If you're looking for the full way to uninstall it, I got a full video on how you can completely clear it out of your system. Simply Takuma, and then they say that you're using the beta version, you have no more. Yep. Yeah, I do remember that. Yes. Yeah, I do. I can't believe, yeah, I almost forgot all about that. Yeah, that sucks that you were affected by it. It's a shame that if anybody has to go through it. But again, like all motherboards, manufacturers have their issues. ASRock also had their issues, and but yeah, I remember Gigabyte even did. But it's especially when you pay so much for a product, you just hope that they can guarantee you and back you. That's all we look for. Even if something does happen and if it was defective, as long as if they will be willing to support you through the issue. So if your motherboard does have a problem or any other PC component has an issue, that they'll swap it out, no problem. And I remember I had another issue with another manufacturer, but I didn't really have any issues with them. I think it was MSI. MSI, they were pretty good. I think it was had to do something with a GPU. I just sent it in and they sent me a new one practically right away. So MSI was really good about that. But I gotta say, for the most part, all we do expect out of any type of manufacturer is support the consumer if they have any type of problem when it comes to their motherboards or any other PC components, because we are paying a premium price for the product, and all we ask is for a working product. That's it. But yeah, it's but luckily so far there hasn't been any known issues. The last known issue I can say, like when it came to like socket wise, is I know ASRock when they had the whole issue with the 9800X3Ds, specifically those processors for some weird reason. And apparently they said, ASRock said that it's because that they had a BIOS update or a BIOS firmware issue, to where if it came to the 9800X3Ds for some reason, it would overvolt them. Like almost like what they would do like with the Intel processors when it came to Raptor Lake refreshes and everything. They would put too much voltages onto the AMD Ryzen 9800X3D, which caused them to short out essentially. So they ended up doing this whole update, and because originally they first said that it's because the socket's not clean. You have to make sure that the socket has no dust on it. And when it comes to PC building, there should never be any issue with like dust or anything like that in a socket. And I've never ever heard anyone ever trying to clean up a socket, especially if there is dust in it in the first place. But they ended up admitting fault and said, yes, it was our fault. And you have to go through a BIOS update in order to fix it. And the other thing that they also tried to do is there was like the blame game going on too, because they were trying to blame AMD. AMD said no, it's not our processor, and ASRock was saying no, it's not us. But eventually, the truth eventually came out, and now the problem is fixed from what it seems so far, at least. So let's see, and to go back up here, no, I had no issues, but to see ASUS handles the situation, who yeah, to client support, man, I was pretty furious about the Z690, I gotta say. ASUS software for RGB blew the motor of my case. Oh really? Oh wow. I had the Arctic 120mm RGB. After installing the software, it seemed like the settings of the fan stopped working. Really? Yeah, that's pretty crazy. I haven't heard any malfunctions like that before. I know the whole RMA process is a pain in the ass. Did you try this and did you try that? I tried to get yes. Yeah, it's funny, but the thing about the whole RMA process, I know there's people out there that might not be completely tech savvy, but if we know what we're talking about and we give you the procedures that we went through already, there's no need to go through it again. I removed the glass and there was a small fried electrical component. Really? Oh wow. Was it on that specific header of that motherboard? Out of curiosity, did you try putting in like another case fan, like just not one that you bought, but just like another case fan, just to see if it would happen again, out of curiosity? Because I'm very curious, because I'm curious if it was if it's really pushing out. Because if anything, I would definitely let ASUS know the issue, especially something like that, and send them the pictures. And I'm just curious to see how that process will go. Small, yeah. The worst thing you could smell, like when it comes to after just building a PC, and you smell a fried electrical component, and it's a very you'll know right away because it's a very distinct smell, like almost like a toaster being on without toast. And it's funny because I know somebody that went to go build a PC, and apparently he hooked up something wrong. I don't know what went wrong with his build, but about like I think 3 days later, he said he saw all this smoke come out of his PC, and he smelled that burnt toaster, practically like that burnt electrical smell. And he went over, looked on the side of his PC, and at least he was smart enough not to like try to get water and try to throw it on there, because that's the worst thing you can do when it comes to electrical components. He immediately unplugged his power supply and took off his case and everything, took out his case. And when he took it apart, he had his motherboard was practically like fried. And I'm assuming he must have, I don't know what he did. I barely dodged the Ryzen 9950X 3D burning up on my ASRock Nova Wi-Fi X870E motherboard because I just happened to set a ECT limit while overclocking the CPU. ASRock screwed up BIOS so bad on a near perfect mother. I know, it's a shame because when it comes to ASRock, I was actually looking to their motherboards because I was thinking that they really has stepped up a lot, especially from what they were. And it's a shame that they're going through this process now. Just like when you think they're doing great, all of a sudden something like this can really just pull them right back down. And yes, back in the days when I plugged the wrong RGB cable in the motherboard and it made a glow number. Oh wow, that's actually an electrical short worth to learn. Yeah, you know what's funny? Anytime you go through any type of experience like that, that will always stick to your mind because you know that's a mistake that would never happen again. I tried changing opposite fan pins on the motherboard and also every single one of them, but all the fans were. Wow, really? That's insane. What's up, Oddly? This good to see you here. Oh, that's pretty insane. I'm surprised it did that much. It pushed out that much. That's really crazy. I've never seen like all fans like frying out like that. And this is so practically none of your case fans are working then. You couldn't really, at that point, then your PC is not really usable. That is a problem. Hopefully, did you ever send, out of curiosity, did you ever send in for ASUS support? And did they say anything about it out of curiosity? Because I'm curious to know. If anybody has any specific issues too with ASUS, feel free to let me know. I'll make sure to, because I'll make sure to write it down, and I'll let my rep know about this, like all the different issues that people are coming in about. That way that they're aware of the problems. The first time my friend started his PC, the PSU just exploded. Oh wow, really? What kind of PSU did he have? I am 1000% confirmed I am gonna buy the RTX 4060. Nice. Okay, go for it. Get the RTX 4060. Did you have the rest of your specifications put together at this point? Because I know that was something you were really exploring at the time. What's up, multi-gamer? Good to see you. Glad to see all of you here. So you're about 1000%. So did you get all the specifications put together out of curiosity? Because I know that's I know you wanted to do it for something for more of creator use, or more not creator use, but well, it is creator use, but in the game design side at least. The biggest issue with ASUS, they're too expensive. Okay. Now, Arctic fans were cheap and decided to remove the software. Not worth the headache, but I'll never do such thing again unless it's Corsair software. And that's another company I've been really trying to get onto is Corsair. I've been openly complaining to them a lot about the different issues with iCUE. And it seems like if anybody has like the older generation Corsair fans, if it's like the ML120s or the QL120s or any of that generation of Corsair, typically it almost seems like the iCUE almost like kind of phases them out, but they still detect it, but it just doesn't work the same as it used to. But if you get their newer fans, it seems to work a lot better with their iCUE 5. So hopefully when they do come out with the iCUE version 6, it's completely revamped, and I've listed all the different issues that it's had. There you go. So I sent it at RTX 2080 Ti. MSI because of the faulty VRAM. They didn't use a good Samsung one. They used other ones. Yeah. That's I think that it was like, it must have been that similar issue that I ran into, because I remember sending them a GPU, and they ended up sending me back like a brand new one. That one didn't have any issues, and I think it was more than likely the same thing. I think it was the 2080 Ti. Mine was the MSI Ventus. So, bro, we already. Let me see. We already talked about the specifications in your late night stream. Okay, so you decided to stick with that. I gotcha. Corsair software, I am using it for DDR4 RAM sticks RGB. And how has that been working? I've heard very mixed things about Corsairs and the RAM sticks. A lot of times, like if anybody out there does use like Intel and it comes to their RAM, and you're having problems with the RGB software, it's usually because of the SBD right in the BIOS. Usually if you set that to false, that usually ends up fixing it. But if anybody that is AMD and has issues with their their RAM, like when it comes to their software and their lighting. It's kind of odd how it works because sometimes there'll be like a firmware update that they have for the RAM, weirdly enough, and that I think that's specifically because of the lighting, but they usually have different updates that need to get pushed into into their hardware for it to work properly. If it doesn't get installed, then it'll freak out iCUE practically. But you know what's funny? Like recently, I've been playing a lot with the Vision Pro, and I really love this controller with Scuff. And as we all know, Scuff is practically owned by Corsair now, which is this one right here. And usually I've been using this a lot to game on. But weirdly enough, I've been running into different issues with it. And it plays great mostly for most of the time. But every once in a while, I'll have to end up resetting the controller completely because it'll end up just like freezing for no reason. And when it freezes up, I have to take off this magnetic faceplate, right? I'll pop this off. And then I have to go in here. And I know it might be hard to see, but if you look over between the A and B side, you'll see like that little pinhole. I have to use like a SIM card ejector to go in there to push it to reset it like for 5 seconds, and then it'll start working again because sometimes it freezes up, and which is really weird for a controller to freeze up. But this has been happening recently, so I'm not sure if it's Corsair pushed a new firmware update on it, which caused the whole freezing issue. But for the most part, it's a great controller, and but I definitely want to try to experience some other ones. I want to try to get something more that has along the lines of Hall Effect sticks. I've seen a lot of people really recommend GameSir, so I'll try to go to them and see how their controller is. So, let's see, right up here. Bro, can you tell me why Copilot is suggesting me to buy DDR5 RAM? I am building my PC for game design. I mean, it's because DDR5 RAM is like the new standard now, and DDR4 is becoming more of legacy hardware. So it's recommending you that because it's saying you might want to go for DDR5 because it's going to be a lot more expensive to get DDR4 pretty soon. The issue was on my 2080 Ti Lightning Z. The RAM couldn't hold 69 degrees Celsius. The card would shut down, and then the fans would start spinning up to 3,000. Oh, yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I think I remember that. Mine was along the lines of a similar issue. But I do remember that. So far good with the sticks. The only problem that I had was the set at 3200 gigahertz because at 36, it would crash at times when I would turn on my PC. What's up with gigahertz? Well, gigahertz would be insane. No problem. Was confused, bro. That's funny. Gigahertz. That would be incredible. I gotta say, like, that would be incredible. But I get it, megahertz. Yeah, I think you're thinking of have GPUs on your mind. But I do. But out of curiosity, what does everybody think of Sapphire making motherboards? Would anybody be interested in that? Like getting a motherboard from Sapphire? I mean, their GPUs has certainly been great. I'm curious if there is a market out there for people interested in purchasing Sapphire motherboards. I know some people are interested in colorful. Colorful, believe it or not, I'm not like really too much of a fan of. I don't really like colorful as much. I've always been a bit more of like more of the traditional brands such as Gigabyte MSI, ASUS, AceRock. But it's very interesting to see the other side of the market coming out, such as these colorful motherboards. And also, EVGA also has their own as well. And not EVGA, I'm thinking of NZXT. EVGA did have their own, but they stopped making them. Same thing with the power supplies. They had their own, but I think they're pretty much out the market when it comes to that side too. Sorry, I asked the wrong question. Copilot is suggesting me to buy SSD NVMe with DRAM, not without DRAM. More competition is always better. Agreed. If there is, as long as if there's more competition, that will certainly bring up more of the more price fairness, I can say. Because again, everything is really expensive. To really think about it, remember when a high-end motherboard used to be like around $300 or $400? $400 would be the most. Because I even remember when doing this, like doing a TRX 40 build with a Threadripper 3970X, doing that build. I thought spending I think it was like $430 for a motherboard was already expensive. And now it's like 430 is like more like for just like a regular mid motherboard. Now to get like more of the mid high boards is like around like the $600 to $700 range. If you want to get the high end, you could easily spend over $1,000, which is, I don't know who needs to spend over $1,000 on a motherboard, but that's pretty crazy. Like the MSI Godlike, that's very expensive. That's insane. Or like the even the ASUS ROG Maximus. Not Maximus, the ASUS ROG. What is it? Their Extreme, the Maximus Extreme motherboard is pretty insane. Sapphire would be cool if they keep it clean style like the RX 9070 XT Nitro. It kind of gives you that feel. I gotta share an image of it actually, because it looks pretty dope. Let me see. RX Sapphire. See if it's on their website already. Let's see. Right here. Okay, going to share it now. It looks just like this. It kind of gives you the feel, right, of the Sapphire Nitro. It really does, right? And this is their wall selection right there. It's looking pretty sleek. I wonder what the pricing is for it. And for, here goes another clean picture of it here. So let's see. This would be the ATX. Whoever, if he's still here, that's where your ATX connection is. Just to mention. But it looks like it has power delivery too. What else? I'm trying to see what else it has right here. Let's see the fan connection, ARGBs. Anything that stands out here. This is interesting. Look at their cooler for their M.2 heatsink. It's almost like, it looks almost like aerodynamic. It looks like it pushes out. Like you push it out and then it pops up. Like there's a spring. Well, it looks pretty sick. Yeah. It's nice, right? And then here we go. Right there. So 200 1x. So it uses ALC 897, not bad. Networking or 8126 5 gigabit LAN. The BTF connector. Yeah. That's something that needs to happen here. That's what I was looking for, honestly. I was thinking of that too. Like, is it going to be BTF? Let me see if they have to have one. Especially when it's coming from Sapphire. That would definitely fit them. And this one's the B850A. And let's see. And here goes, this looks like their mini ITX. Not too bad. And no, it looks good though. For the most part, it seems clean. Pretty much almost like the same type of the same type of chipset that they use on the other motherboards as well, if you look at it. So I wonder what the likeliness of this being released to other countries. Because currently, it's only available in China to be able to get one of these. So it's not available in any other country just quite yet. But I wouldn't be surprised if they'll start pushing it out. It does. The Phantom Link, good old gamer days. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina. Yes, I remember those days. Those were good times. And yeah, they all look really good actually. And this is their Pulse version. It goes right along with their line. It really does. Oh. Yeah, it really fits them well. If I think Sapphire could certainly be a much more higher competitor, especially if they compete in the pricing side. They could be a competition to be dealt with, especially when it comes to the other brands. I'm sure are looking at them right now too to see what they're coming out with. They also have CPU coolers as well, which I didn't really know until I went on their website and saw it. But I haven't really seen their CPU coolers. I'm pretty curious on how they look like actually. Let's see. And right here, AIO CPU cooler. It looks like it is called the Nitro Plus series. So they might be on their way with one. And for this one, it looks just like this. Did you see the crazy Taiwan only Toy Story gaming part? I don't know what the manufacturer is. No. But I'll tell you what though. For a heads up guys, for next week, if I stream on Saturday, it's going to be definitely different because I will be at the airport. I'll be around that time. I'll be in like San Francisco. I should be around in San Francisco if I do a stream. I'll be probably running it around the same time if I'll be streaming that day, just to say. Oh, but this is the cooler here. I think this Wednesday I'll try to stream if I can. I might not be able to because I got to get everything put together. But I'll be away for a good month in Taiwan, speaking of which. So DRAM cache, yes, it has DDR4 DRAM, which gives it a big edge in sustained performance over DRAM less drives. Yes, it's definitely better to get something with a DRAM in there, like if you're looking for SSD wise. So this is the Nitro cooler. This is pretty dope actually. So it seems like they are planning on coming out with more products because this is on the official website. And the fans look nice. So imagine doing a full Sapphire build. That would actually probably look pretty dope. They call it spider design. Hybrid fan blades with combined strength, both traditional axial fans and blower fans. And ARGB pass-through. So practically you'll use your motherboard. 7th gen pump, really. So it seems like they've been around for a little while. It just never really... unless they haven't really pushed on the outside markets yet. But it looks decent. Looks nice to have. Bro ignored me 2 times. What's that? No, I saw you. Remember, there's a delay in the stream feed. But I did see you. I'm very interested in the new Ice Giant Titan 360 CPU cooler because it doesn't have any pump to run the AI. Oh, really? So it's pumpless. That is interesting. I wonder how that's going to work. I guess practically through like a motor, I would imagine, like some sort of little electric motor. When those special edition Intels, always get them. It's funny. I remember when Intel used to be everywhere now. They used to make even SSDs, remember? But now they don't do... they're just like way out the market. Especially because now you got Bhutan, I mean. Now you got Bhutan like in charge of the company. And how they could... I wonder if they're even going to bother coming out with processors this year. Because it's a possibility that they might just say, we're not going to come out with the processors because it seems like that nobody has interest in the 18A. And they want to focus more on the 15A, which is pretty insane. Using the thermosiphon system. Ah. Wow. Yeah, definitely got to check that out. I'm going to type that in right now, actually. Ice Giant. Ice Giant Titan. Let's check it out. Let me see. So if anyone wants to join Discord, let me see. Let me just share this with you guys out there. Because I don't want to put the command in, because I got to fix it. This command here. If anyone wants to join Discord, it is right here. Ice Giant 3 Titans. Oh, wow. So this is it here. The Ice Giant Titan 360. So for 439, next gen leap forward to cooling. So let's take a look at the specs right there. High performance all copper evaporator with performance enhancements, upgraded 6-core 360mm condenser. Awesome. Yes, I saw you over at Dolly. Yeah, I still got your recommendations and everything too. For let's see. Designed to cool the flagship CPU on both Intel and AMD, high performance regardless of CPU die architecture. Day one performance all day, every day, no degradation, which is a great thing. Completely passive cooling, which is exactly what Takuma was talking about. And fans are only the moving part. Honestly, I gotta say, it's got my attention too, Takuma. That's a great bring up there. I'll definitely put this on the list. Let's see. Okay. I'll keep an eye on them, actually. You got me very interested in it. Says who builds a PC with a Toy Story collab? Parts, songs, sound like you got a ticking time. It's very, very interesting, though. Yeah, that's a game I still haven't. Like I said, oddly, I was speaking earlier about Elden Ring. Right now, I'm just after I beat this Draconian Tree Sentinel, I'll definitely try it out then. But I did download it though, just to give you an idea. I definitely downloaded it. But this damn friggin' Tree Sentinel, they have way too many Tree Sentinels in that game too. And it's funny, every time I get him down, like, just, like, barely down to his health here. Like, I get him down to, like, almost, like, probably, like, a quarter down in his health. His lightning bolts always get me, too. So, he's pretty annoying. I gotta say, for the most part. But, yeah, I definitely will try solo leveling. I look forward to trying that, too. Especially, it's a free game that's hard to beat. And let's go back here real quick. Here we go. This is interesting. Let me bring this up. This is on WCCF. Pat Gelsinger. He was the guy that was in charge of Intel before, right? So he's saying He underestimated the impact of AI. And he said a misstep that left his Team Blue struggling to catch up. So he's saying because he missed the AI train, that was his fault, practically. Which is pretty funny, right? He misjudged it and might have cost him billions in revenue, giving competitors all the leverage. So what do you think of that? Wait till you get to the sewers of Lindell. Oh no, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound. You know what? Like after I got tired of fighting him for a little bit, I did go to like some of the other stuff. Like it might have been the sewers, where it's just like the Forbidden Cave. If anybody's been to not the Forbidden Cave, the Forgotten Cave, where you fight two different knights, that was even harder, which is insane. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to do this one. Because even it made the Forgotten Cave look like a joke compared to fighting those knights. Because all they have to do is hit you twice and that's it. You're done. And you get stunned real easy by them too. Yeah, Intel sat too long on laurels. The only thing that dude missed in was quality control of Intel CPUs. Yeah, tell me about it. It's funny too because with Pat Gelsinger, he was like supposed to be like he did this whole rebranding, like when it came to Intel, especially on the 15th gen, like when it came to the 265K, 275K, 280. That was all him. So that was all his idea of going rebranding, giving it the ultra premium look. And what was the other thing that he did too? He also, it seemed like they were trying to get into the AI side of it. They started putting NPUs in their processor, but so reading what he said here kind of makes me question like how much further could they have pushed with AI? The only it's pretty insane. So he's saying he missed billions of dollars of revenue, and that was the reason why he got fired was over AI. I find that hard to believe. I think it's a lot more than that. I feel that it's more or so the whole marketing strategy just did not work right. Even though they had a real chance to get ahead, especially when it came out with the Z690 boards, they could have took advantage of it because they were the first ones with DDR5 and PCI Express 5. And they just somehow ended up stuck on that era to where they just did not end up improving, especially when you thought they were going to have this large leap forward when it came to the Z890 boards, because that was supposed to be like the generational gap between the two, but really it wasn't much. It didn't really jump over much. Nothing really improved by a significant margin. And the politics of upgrading friendly. Yes. Can you believe that? So imagine that just like an average person went to go purchase a Intel build, right? They have this like Z890 board that they just bought just within the past year. And they built this PC thinking that they're going to have a PC that could last them maybe 6-7 years. But to find out that you bought a PC just to be stuck on one specific generation, that you're only stuck in the 2024 era unless they try to do some refreshes. If I was Intel, I would certainly do refreshes at least for the for LGA 1851, because for those people, more than likely they're probably not going to go back to Intel, especially waiting for the Z890. They were expecting a large generational leap forward, but instead they got kicked in the face with a pair of boots to say on top. So that is certainly controversial, I gotta say, on Intel's part, and especially because now that they are going to jump and change out the whole socket, and if they don't go 15A, I mean, if they don't go 18A, that means they're thinking of changing the socket again. So it's a good thing they didn't release it yet, because it would be LGA 1956. Now what's it going to be if they go 15A? It's going to be it's quite insane. I don't know what they're thinking. So, Intel has a definite problem that they certainly have to fix. And it's going to take a lot for them to gain public trust again. So, what games do you play? It's funny, Chapley. I actually just answered this. Right now, I'm still playing Elden Rings. I can't get that Draconian Tree Sentinel out of my mind because I really want to beat him. And I'm currently playing Expedition 33 and playing Stellar Blade, and I also was playing Doom as well. I know there's another game on the list, and I bought so many games too on the Steam sale that I I I feel like I'm not gonna be able to play them all. I kind of just invested in a bunch of games because I bought like 13 games on the summer Steam sale. I mean, come on, the Z990 board for the 16th whatever generation Intel CPUs coming out has another socket and another chipset. Man, I hate to think. Sorry, no, it's okay, Chapley. I don't mind answering. And speaking of which, you know what really sucks is I put my Sony WF-1000 XM5s. I had them in my pocket, in my I had them inside my pants, right? So thinking I had it in my bag, I ended up washing all my clothes, and then after washing it, I noticed halfway that my phone gave me an alert saying that the Bluetooth was activated. I was like, that's weird, and then I realized, oh, it must be in the washer. Good thing with modern washers, you could pause them, and so I took it out and I tried to air dry it for at least a day, and I took out the earbuds. I took them out and let them sit and dry. And with the case, I ended up just sitting it into like some rice, just the case itself, and to try out the dry the component. And luckily, it started charging and everything. But as soon as I tried to use the earbuds like I usually do, it seemed like they were still working. But it just seems like the case isn't charging. So I think that, like holding the charge, I should say, and it's not charging the earbuds either. So now I'm out the case, and I now have to get a brand new one. And I know Sony's going to have the 1000 XM6 sometime soon because the XM5s were released about 2 years ago. So, and there's a good indication that they're going to come out with it soon because there's not as many retailers, especially on Amazon. Amazon themselves are not even selling the XM5s. So I'm hoping the XM6 release soon so I can just get those. It just sucks that I have to waste money on getting new earpods because of it. Yes, yeah. I'm having nightmares about that tree sentinel. Any giveaway happening on your channel anytime soon? Get into the frame, my guy. Oh, I apologize for not being in the frame, but I have to say, with the current giveaways, not just as of yet, because I will be going away for a month. So if there is any giveaways soon, I will certainly announce it. Just make sure you stay on Discord because that's where I do all the giveaway announcements on. And it is, oh, let me move. You know what it is? It's the frame. There we go. Let me see. And if you want to join the Discord, make sure to join right here. Join the Discord and you'll know when I do the giveaways. If anybody has any requests in Taiwan that wants to see something there, you know what? I'll try to find that whole Toy Story collab thing and see if I can find out where it is. If I can get to it, I will certainly go there. And I will stream it for you guys. But there's so much in Taiwan too. There's so many different advantages to take all over there too. Like there's other things that we can get access over there that we can't get here. Like they have unfortunately in the U.S. we can't get access to say like even the ROG phones. Now I know those phones are probably not going to be great on battery or anything like that, but I'm just curious to see how it is. And I gotta say, I probably would never switch to it, but I'm just curious about how good that phone really is. Just saying. So the specs of the PC that I currently game on is a 9800 X3D, a RTX 5090, 48 gigabytes of DDR5 with 6400 megahertz. It has a Gigabyte Gen 5 SSD with a Western Digital Blue SSD, which is Gen 4. It has a power supply, MSI's 1000 watt power supply, and I think I just mentioned about everything. And cooler wise, it's the ASUS Ryujin 3. But that is the full specifications of the build. If you want to check it out, it's also in the description box down below as well. Hot take: 8 gigabyte GPUs in 2025 shouldn't be made. 12 gigabytes is the minimum. The 3060 is better than the 4060 and the 5060. Very true. And that's exactly what had to be brought up in this stream earlier, as we mentioned that not enough people are purchasing 8 gigabyte graphics cards anymore. They're just not interested in it. It seems that people are more focused towards anything more than 8 gigabytes. Everything that is more than 8 gigabytes is selling well, and we'll more than likely see the change within. That won't be within the next year. Well, somewhat. I can say some of it is next year, but most of it will be in 2020. 28 would be that you would see the drastic change when NVIDIA goes to the 6000 series, and then when AMD goes to their next series as well. If it's going to be called the 10,000 series. So, Waitley calmly on the new add-on of ATS. Oh yeah, that'll be nice. Yeah. Well, see, again, when it comes to the specifications, again, I make content for the channel, and a lot of this is made specifically so that way everybody else can see it out there, so that way they don't have to buy it and they can see it in action as well. And I do judge everything fairly, even like when it comes to graphics cards or when it comes to motherboards. I will let you know if I don't like a very specific part of it, and when I do, it will be known. Believe me. And when it comes to, I gotta say, graphics cards, again, I can't brag enough about more of the 9070 XT. It's definitely, certainly the best GPU, I gotta say, out of all the GPUs that I've seen for this year. It's price friendly, and on top of it, it's great for those who love to game, especially on 1440p. It's definitely the top one, I gotta say, when it comes to the GPU side, even over the RTX 5090. So, for the 5070, 12 gigabytes is shameful. The thing is, with the 5070, that's why they have to have the whole variant, the 5070 Ti. They have to have it exist for a reason. Cubics, 8 gigabytes is good depending on the brand. NVIDIA overprices them, but Intel and AMD generally have good VRAM pricing. Yes, I'm curious if Intel's even what they're going to do next when it comes to their GPUs. I know that they do have their B580s that they do have, and if they're going to continue this whole Battlemade series, or they're going to go a whole different route, especially with the new Intel CEO. My 4 gigabyte RX 570 for $40 is amazing. I have low VRAM, but good price for it. Yeah, you can't beat $40. Have you seen that the RX 9070 XT has received a software update? Yes, you know what? It's funny that you bring that up, Wasabi. And I gotta say, speaking of that, I actually brushed over it a bit on just a couple days ago on the stream. And in fact, the RX 9070 XT is within a hair of the RTX 5080 even, when it comes to the possibilities when it comes to the RX 9070 XT. And that just goes to show you that it's a great card. And again, I can't stop talking about it because it's still under $1,000, especially for our RX 90 for a GPU that can perform so well. That's a very nice. It's very nice that we have all access to something like that, and it's not super expensive, like say trying to get an RTX 5080. When it comes to the ray tracing side, RX 9070 XT is great. It's excellent. Of course, it's just The only thing that it can't compete with NVIDIA just quite yet is just the path tracing side. But again, that's very niche focused when it comes to that side. Uh, Again, when it comes to the GPU side, when it comes to gaming, the RX 9070 XT can perform really well in any aspect. And currently with the RX 9070 XT build, I've put it through the whole Bakelite OS to see how well it works out. And it seems to work excellent. It works great for it as well, if you don't want to use something like Windows for gaming, to say. So, I'm saving for the pre-build with the Ryzen 5 5600, and I'll put a 3060 12 gigabytes in it. Like Intel Arc drivers, we gain 1200%. Yeah, and it's funny too, because it's like even with their GPUs right now, what they're focused on, that's what they're really focused on. They're focused more like onto the whole AI aspect of it, because they do have 48 gigabytes of what was it, G6? I think it was 48 gigabytes of G6, but it's only has like 20 ray tracing cores, so it's obviously not going to be meant for gaming. It's almost like this new GPU that Intel is coming out with is similar to Sly when it comes to Sly and when it comes to Crossfire, because it's a dual GPU, but it's meant for AI task. So I'm just curious to see how well that's going to work for everyone who is into LLMs. The RTX 3060 is really underrated for a modern NVIDIA card, in my opinion. It has high VRAM and is relatively cheap, and it comes with NVIDIA benefits. It does. It's good for what it is currently. Again, the 3060 is much better compared to even the 40 series when it comes to the 4060 and the 5060 especially. And speaking of the 5050, I want to go back onto that topic real quick, because I got to tell you something about the 5050. I wish AMD had software like NVIDIA's background removal. It was perfect when I had the 3050, but now I have a green screen, but it's not as perfect as it used to be. Yeah, that's the only issue when it comes to AMD, is when it comes to, like, if you're using it for like video tasks such as that, it's not going to be as well as NVIDIA. It's all because a lot of different software, they like to focus more on the CUDA cores and they take advantage of it. But AMD obviously doesn't have that. So I think in time, if AMD stays as popular as it is, softwares will have to adjust and be able to work with AMD as well. And speaking, yes, the 5050, I gotta say. Listen to this. The 5060, right? We all know how much the price is, right? The 5060 is $300 to be able to purchase it. Now, the 5060 also does feature at least a G7 in it. Now, when it comes to the 5050, it has a G6, 8 gigabytes, right? And then on top of it, the price, it's not even $200. It's $250. So it's only a $50 price gap between the 5060. Now, you tell me where the value is in that. It's not really that great of a card. That's practically like you're going right back down to Ada Lovelace, or even worse. It's just doesn't make any sense, this whole 5050. It's just a scam practically. So, and both of them have more VRAM, please. Now that I've a recorder, Space Marine 1 Warhammer 40k playthrough, I am using the green screen, but the edges of my shape are not perfectly outlined. Yeah, that experience always sucks, like when you can't get it quite right to how you like it. Future predictions, like last time, NVIDIA RTX 6000 DLSS 5, better multi-frame generation, agreed. I definitely agree on that. AMD 10,000 Gen, better ray tracing, better patch tracing. That's a very good prediction. I would have to agree with you, Takuma. If NVIDIA is cranking any workstation cards all the time, they'll make sure that the databases will need and will be cheaper. AMD ahead of NVIDIA. What time is more distracted? The hot toaster. NVIDIA AI glory won't last. You know, the funny thing is, currently with NVIDIA, when it comes to their frame generation, it's able to make up three frames per one, right? So you can imagine when it comes to the 6000 series, it's not going to be 3 frames to one. It's probably going to be up to 10 frames to one, because we all know Nvidia's likes to really push and exaggerate numbers. So more than likely, it's probably going to be, they're going to say 10 to 1 compared to like where it really pushes, like maybe it pushes in reality like 7.5 to 8 maybe at the most, but they say 10 to 1 because a couple times of the 1% it actually hit that like a 10 to 1 ratio. And I can certainly see that when it comes to DLSS 5. But the thing that scares me the most is that the game developers are going to say, let's take advantage of DLSS and make sure when we make these games, we don't have to put as much effort in them, because now we can take advantage of this 10 to 1 ratio when it comes to frame generation. So all we are going to get, especially when it comes to AAA studios, we're going to get this like choppy gameplay. And for those who use the cards for other usage, such as they do use it for like AI workflows, or if they use it for some sort of content creation, there's not going to really be any real advantage for us to utilize out of it, because again, they're very software focused on the whole NVIDIA drivers, on the whole NVIDIA studio that they have. Well, when I see China market GPUs with 8 GB RAM, RTX 5040s and 5030s, that's funny. That's insane. I can't imagine seeing like a 5030 or 5040. And they do have like creator cards too. Like they do have like the like for example for the Nvidia, it would be the, what is it, the 6000 now that they're on. I think it's the 6000, like the RTX 6000 practically, but it's not really a 6000 series or a 60 series. It's a card where it's practically a studio card. And they did come out with one card where again it's like their Titan, but it goes up to 96 it's 96 gigabytes of G7, but it's ironically it doesn't perform as well as the RTX 5090, even though it has 96 gigabytes of G7. I can, but honestly, Takuma, I can see them doing that just because you know how the marketplace is in China, especially on Alibaba. Just I wouldn't be surprised if you would see them have some cards where they make it like a RTX customized 5030 or 5040, and they just put together pieces from other GPUs, other used GPUs. The crazy RTX 5090D blower style. They really got D'd hard when it came to the RTX 5090D. Because, again, their RTX 5090D only has 24 gigabytes of G7 compared to our monstrosity here, where we have a RTX 5090, where it has up to 32 gigabytes. So they definitely watered it down a bit. I'm pretty sure they're not happy. And I think they called it Triple D. It's like the RTX 5090 Triple D or something. Not Triple D, the Double D. But let's, if you see the specs here, let's see. Here it is. Oh, they're in the GPU database. Perfect. And this is on Tech Power Up. This is it right here. 176 ROPs. 21. It's so practically mostly the same. They just get way less of a memory size. They get 24 gigabytes. The RTX 5040G. Yeah, they got double D down. The data centers might not need GPUs now, but just imagine when billions of NVIDIA AI work chips in 10 years, they will be cheaper. What will they do when no one wants to buy their main selling card? Yeah, that's true. Well, but the truth is, they have a very strong commercial share. Let me see. Let me move my right there. So it's mostly the same in the most part. Memory clock's actually a bit slower. If you look at it, it's 28 gigabits per second effective. I think ours is 30 if if I'm correct. And when it comes to TM, mostly everything's the same. And there's ours. Every other country but but China is here's ours, the RTX 5090, and you can see the bar. Based on TPU reviews data, performance summary at 1920x 1080 resolution, 4K for the 2080 Ti and faster. Do you think Nvidia will ever get into CPU market? I saw J2 Cents talk about it. I think it's a bit tricky. I don't think they really want to, because you really have to invest a lot of money when it comes to new products, right? Especially into CPU. I know that they're very interested in coming out with their own SoC when it comes to like things like, for example, like how Tegra chipset and everything. I don't think that they're going to go 100% full into CPUs. There were opportunities when they easily could, especially when it was back then. Because NVIDIA used to be part of like the motherboard making process, where if you had a motherboard, it would have to have M-Force. If you had M-Force, that was NVIDIA practically approved. And that it could work well with their NVIDIA GPUs. Will they get into the CPU market again? I don't really think so, because they have such a large enterprise side that they're not even really thinking about us, to be honest. We're kind of like on the least worries for them because they already have the GPU market. So unfortunately, I don't see them going to the CPU side for desktop CPUs. But I could see them focus more onto more like say like tablet CPUs, or more onto something like laptops, even to be more energy efficient, like the N1C, I think it is. I could see them come out with that, but I don't think they'll compete to the Intel level or AMD level when it comes to CPUs. If they do, I'm afraid it would be great for competition wise, but it could be disastrous too, because I can't imagine how much NVIDIA would charge for their CPUs. But that's a great question, Wasabi. Was the D not stand for Dragon? They'll come back to us gamers begging for us when AMD will be the king and their AI cache has now too much economy. Wasabi. Oh yes, I think AMD is smarter. Yes, ever. It's funny because D did stand for Dragon, and the funny thing is when it's double D now, what's it mean? The Dragon's D? You know what I mean? They really imagine being China right now, because that's like you got played hard by in pretty much like Nvidia. What's up, Sherry Harsh? Shri Harsh. I'm back, AO. What's up, guys? Oh, we're talking about a D double D right here, actually. And it's quite interesting. I downloaded the new driver, I have to say. So far, it's been pretty good. I haven't really ran into issues on the NVIDIA side. Well, I gotta go back into the 9070 XT side and check out to see if there's any updates on Backlight for it too. More than likely, it's going to have excellent performance as it always has. I gotta say, when it comes to gaming with the 9070 XT on Backlight, it's been excellent. Yeah. Double D. Yeah, it's exactly like that, right? It's hilarious because it's can you imagine their face when they saw that they're getting the RTX 5090 double D? That's probably the worst letter they could really pick. And the crazy part is they're paying just as much for this GPU as we're all paying for the RTX 5090. I think AMD is doing pretty good so far, still behind in the marketing side though. Yes, AMD is doing great. They're the type to really focus onto they're really focused on their product, so they don't really think about the marketing side. But I know the CPUs sell themselves, but they really need to work on the GPU side. If they could, that would be great. And I'm hoping more people out there would represent AMD and when it comes to the GPU side, because again, they do really make excellent GPUs out there, and it's highly recommended to try their GPUs. You will not be disappointed. Saucy NVIDIA. Yes. NVIDIA is very sus right now, right? Can you imagine, like, when they were in the lab and thinking of this? I think a good example of Polaris cards, are cheap side. They're cheap since loads were produced. There's loads of them. They're cheap, and if everyone had one AMD, they would make it. Jay said back in 2020 was about to get a monopoly on processors for the Japanese company called ARM, but the government bodies, yeah, that's true. Because you actually just reminded me of that subject. It will happen with RTX 6000 type cards. NVIDIA has a huge factory producing them, and its data centers can't slot in trillions. Yeah. Well, going back onto Wasabi's subject here, what he's talking about is back then, ARM, which was a company that actually helps like produce like chipsets, even like for like Apple. Like when it comes to like the M1, M2, those are ARM processors. NVIDIA wanted to purchase ARM and completely own them, because then they can have the graphical and processing side if they could. And the deal never went through because, again, just like Wasabi said, EU rejected it and said, no, we can't let this happen. And they were going to purchase it for a very crazy amount of money. I can't remember exactly what the price was, but they were about to purchase ARM. And if they did, if they were successful, then technically anything Apple uses would be considered under ARM. And it would be a lot easier for them to also release a CPU if they really wanted to. But again, that's on a whole different process. And on current OSs, we use a x64 architecture typically, or x86, depending on what your build is. x86 is a bit older, but usually the x64 is the type of architecture we're on, and ARM would be the newer architecture that they were trying to introduce into Windows. Hence, that's what Snapdragon is. It's an ARM processor. But NVIDIA wanted to completely control that market, but it never happened, that deal. So now they're completely out of that side, at least. And I think then would be the more probable time that NVIDIA could possibly go into the CPU side, because then they don't really have to do much when it comes to the CPU side. They could change it up a little bit. They can make some, how do I say? They can make some sort of adjustments to it, but it wouldn't be much for them to get into the CPU side, at least. NVIDIA got the deal where it'll last up to 1.5 billion, and they basically have ARM blueprints and patents to produce processors. I think didn't that get pushed back though? I remember that got pushed back. If NVIDIA gets control of the we're cooked. Phones are already overpriced. Imagine the prices with NVIDIA. I think we should just shift the consoles at this point. The crazy part is, if they own that, just think about it like this: they would own everything. Even when it came to like consoles, there would be more consoles out there that would have NVIDIA. Luckily, only console that is really out there that has NVIDIA architecture in there is Nintendo. Everything else is ran through AMD. So shifting the consoles was the worst idea ever. No, that hot went through again. What's up, Smash Like Boom? Welcome back. Welcome in. Yeah, we're just discussing on the topic if NVIDIA really controlled it. Just imagine the world if NVIDIA controlled every type of like computing. How would it be? How would it be like to have a PC? It wouldn't no longer really feel customizable at that point, right? It would just feel like you're just buying an NVIDIA PC practically. There's no real customizability. You might have like custom different RGBs and different third-party AIBs and everything, but it's overall it's still NVIDIA. It's still always going to be the same chipsets, always going to be the same GPUs, always the same processors. It's not going to be really different. So it would just kind of dull the whole PC side, I think, for the most part. Yeah, yeah. So glad to hear that you're doing great, Smash Like Boom. AMD has been a lifesaver for me. Without it, I'm in a homeless shelter right now. Nintendo Switch 2. So what are your guys' thoughts about Nintendo Switch 2 by far? Same product, right? Practically the same product. But the only thing that they really changed on it was the Joy-Con. You can use like a mouse. And of course, the hardware is now practically 2060. Pretty much like a 2060, but modified for Nintendo Switch 2 usage. And it does have, of course, ray tracing. Performance-wise, it attempts to try to hit 30 FPS as much as it can. Of course, the issues when it comes to like the anti-consumerism side, at least, when they say you purchase the console, you can't really do what you like with it, because if you do, they can shut down your Nintendo Switch, which is pretty insane. I guess I could see on their side, their argument is so that no one pirates on their hardware. But the thing is, it's always going to happen. No matter what type of rules you throw out there, people are going to do what they want, especially when it comes to something like hardware. That's just what we do. We like to try to be able to break into something, as people who like to go into code and be able to say that I hacked the system and I'm able to do so. But what is everybody's thoughts of the Nintendo side? So Nvidia will become one of those corporations that will try Arasaka, right? They'll be just like Arasaka. If it's 1080 Ti, then Nvidia would be fine. I'm also going to put that big ass 9060 XT in my first ever PC. It's $350 in my country, so not so expensive. So Nintendo Switch 2 is worse than the 5050. Imagine being a company such as big as Atlas Corporation from Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Yeah. Really good GPU. AMD cooks straight heat when they make GPUs, not the kind of heat from fire like the 5090 cable. I'm curious if they're going to make any changes about it with the whole 12-volt high power port, especially when it comes to the Super Series, or if they're just going to continually use the same single adapter. It's almost like, I wonder if there is going to be more of a change, not within the next generation. I don't see, not next generation or the next iteration, more of the next generation, like the RTX 6000 series. Do you think they would actually start to do more of a power split, like have two 12-volt high power ports instead of just one? So I'd rather play in 1080p than the Sauce My House. It's kind of ridiculous, I gotta say, for the most part. It's also, the pricing for Nintendo is pretty high, I gotta say, for their console, especially that it's still on the same LCD display. And people, I'm surprised that people really still support Nintendo on that side of it. I've always liked Nintendo, but I'm really disappointed, I gotta say, for the most part, when it comes to this generation, in my personal opinion, because usually they're pretty good when it comes to innovation, and when it came to the Switch 2, it's just like literally nothing. They should have just went OLED at least. Nvidia doesn't care. When the 50 series came out, they apologized not to us, but for giving us literally a safety risk, but to AI. Absolutely. So, FanBam guys, again, everybody out there, just to let everybody know, out there, next Wednesday, I will attempt to stream. If I'm unable to, I will let everybody know on Discord. If I will certainly try to do it if I can. I'm still in the middle of trying to get everything all together before headed to Taiwan. When I stream next Saturday, more than likely it's going to be, it might be somewhere. I'm just not sure exactly where. I'm guessing I'll probably be more than likely at the airport at that time, because I have a layover from San Francisco before I go to Taiwan. So when I go there, or once I land, I should be able to stream. But it might be much later because I just realized it's going to be 9 a.m. San Francisco time when I land. So that's like 3 hours, 3 hours earlier than here. So if I stream, technically it would be around, probably about like 1 or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern time at least. These guys need to touch some grass, not gonna lie. Nintendo is banking on our nostalgia. So is Nvidia and Apple. They're very good at it. They're very good doing that. Brazilian government filed a lawsuit against Nintendo for breaking consoles. Rightfully so, they should. Nvidia must bring the power consuming on the down on the RTX 6000. We are reaching ridiculous levels on a time where energy is high and on the rise. Agreed. Nvidia should. And the crazy part is, it's like it kind of goes against everything, like against Moore's law, because it's like it's supposed to get. Technically, we're supposed to reduce down and use less power. We're supposed to be less power consuming, but now we're doing the exact opposite. Every couple of years, we're like demanding more power. And again, like when it comes to the 50 series, it's just a over voltage supply of a RTX 40 series. If you really think about it, it's the same node process. But the architecture is just different. That's the only thing about it. Enjoy your summer in Japan. Oh my gosh. You know what's funny? I remember just last year when I was in Japan too. In fact, it was flaming hot. It was extremely hot, like when I was there. And it's funny because thinking that I'm from Florida and everything, I'm able to handle the heat perfectly fine. I don't have no issues. And being in Taiwan and everything, I should be perfectly good. But I gotta say that the heat in Japan is definitely hits different. But yeah, definitely have fun out there. Enjoy it, Takuma. I miss the times when AI just meant where an NPC moves in game development. Yeah, well, now it's going to be much more in depth to where you're going to be able to have conversations with them. But yeah, what part? I gotta ask, what part of Japan are you going? Because it's definitely make sure to dress right for it. What places are you visiting? It's funny, I just asked that same question. But yeah, you'll have a lot of fun though, for sure. There's so much food, and that's what I look forward to the most. I miss eating. I really miss eating Asian food a lot. But seeing back my relatives there, oh, that'll be nice. Yes, I feel exactly like how you feel, Takuma. I'm gonna feel the same way. I know in Taiwan it's gonna be hot. I know I'm excited to see my relatives, and I'm excited to be able to eat some great food. Nice. That's the best part. You know what I miss the most about in Japan is just eating. One of my favorite foods I personally love to eat is a nigiri, and I really enjoy eating that every time I'm there, and it's so much cheaper than what I have to pay for here, unless I make it on my own, of course. First, Gifu, Nagoya, Tokyo, Osaka, and Kanazawa. When it comes to summer in Japan, the only thing I can think of is Okinawa. Yeah, Okinawa's a beautiful place. That's one place I haven't been to yet, is Okinawa. But that'll be nice. Yeah, definitely enjoy it though. Enjoy your time there. It's funny. So if you're going there, then not too far off from where I'm going to be, which I'll be, of course, in Taiwan. Uh, I'll be all over in Taiwan more than likely. AI is just Google with tons of extra steps, except they ruined it. Google with AI either is way harder and harder to maintain than older no AI. 40 degrees Celsius hot and 99% humidity. Yeah, I can see that. I really can. I remember just standing there. It was actually in. Okay. Uh, yes, it's far, but not that far. Not as far as I am. Not as far as Florida far. You know what I mean? Like for if I were to fly over from Taipei over to from Okinawa, it's probably like only like about an hour and a half, at least, if flying wise. I'm not trying to go there by boat. All right, guys, I'm just about to head off. I have to actually start to get ready, start to prepare, start to try to pack everything for this trip. But thank you guys so much for joining in. Hopefully you guys joined our Discord, and hopefully to see you guys soon. Thank you guys so much for coming in, and hopefully I'll see you guys within next week. If I can't, I'll certainly let you guys know on Discord. Don't forget this. Thanks again so much for watching, and take care.